I might buy a bit of stuff in front of the door, or I might buy a board game. I'm not sure.
Right, so we're now with the South London Warlords, aren't we? The hosts of the show. And your game is Pilum
The Pilum and the Pike.
Okay, so what's going on here?
There's been lots of debate over the years as to the greatest empires of the ancient world. And there were two great empires of the ancient world. There was the Roman Empire, the early imperial Roman Empire, under generals such as Augustus, that sort of thing. And then there was a Macedonian Empire under Alexander the Great. And there's been lots of conjecture as to which was the greater empire, who was the greater military leader, who had the greater forces. Unfortunately, in history, 200 years separate the two empires. So as war gamers, we thought we'll try and answer that question and use dice to do it.
Very good, very
So
good.
basically what we have here is we have Alexander's Macedonians versus Augustus, early imperial Rome.
Okay, right.
And we're using the sword and spear rules because we find that they're a good set of rules to balance out armies, especially for different periods.
And is this a game that you played before at the club? Or is
We
it the first time?
play sword and spear regularly. These armies we use, but not to the scale of this. This is just under 1,000 figures. And really this is going to do a tour around the various shows for the next year. And then hopefully never have to come out in this amount ever again.
So it's nice to see a big pike block.
Absolutely, it's the impression. It's all about the look of the armies and everything else, and it engages people. People come up and ask us what's going on, and we're all about talking wargaming as well. Explaining to people what's going on. Lots of people will pick games out and play them. We will play it, but we will always have someone that's there to talk to people, and especially on our show. We want to make sure that people enjoy the whole experience. So,
well, thanks very much for your time.
No problem.
Facebook now.
So the game's all about the chaos of Brexit, yeah?
Yeah, the chaos. Actually, I'm quite glad of the timing politically. When we did this game, we were assuming that we would be out of Europe already, and that this would just be finger pointing and basically having a go at people. And actually, it's turned out really well because it's still topical rather than something that's happened.
Yeah.
It was one of a few ideas we had together just to try and make light and make fun of something which is actually quite a horrible situation for many people. And try to get people to laugh as much as possible. I mean, really, that's it. The board's full of hidden jokes. We've tried to make it, you can play as either the Remainers or the Leavers. We've made it that the Remainers want to leave, the Leavers want to remain. We've tried to even everything up as much as possible, but it has a very heavily pro-Remain subtext because the people who made the game are
Remainers.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not pretty much, absolutely. So there's a lot of jokes in there that are digs. A lot of, I mean, for example, the boat is the meaningful boat 7.
Oh.
There's lots of little gags.
And there's the famous bus there, of course.
The bus,
Boris's bus.
yeah. Let's give 350 million a week to the ERG.
Oh, I didn't notice the subtle change.
It's
there.
very subtle.
Yeah, very
Some of it's not subtle at all. Jokes per square inch. I think jokes per square inch we've probably done it.
Yeah.
So it was just really it was just to poke fun and for people all around just to have a laugh and get together and
that's the White Cliffs, obviously.
That is the White Cliffs of Dover. It's a representation of escaping from Dover to the port and being on the last ferry on the way up. We got some rules over there. Project Fear is the name of the game. It was just sort of try and condense Dover down to a playable area and not have to take over all the saloon.
It's very
Which
good.
was the other option. Thank you.
It's a very nice looking game. Well done.
She's asking, is it okay if I stay out a little bit longer? I'm like, yeah, we had to go
I think he is close range. Have you still got the phone? No, it's 8. Oh, an 8. Any 8s, gentlemen? No 8s?
Okay, right. The table we're looking at now is Simon Chick. Is it all your own work? Oh no, the Lance and Longbow Society. You're doing it on behalf of them.
Yeah, I'm doing it on behalf of the society who cover the medieval period, but the battle is and the terrain and the figures are all my own work.
Okay.
It's a little known battle, largely because it's an English defeat which led to the death of the Duke of Clarence, but it's also unusual because you've got English knights on horse actually charging rather than taking up their usual kind of defensive position.
Oh, okay. Does that mean that the archers were not such a big feature of this battle?
Yeah, the Duke of Clarence heard that the Scots-French force was nearby and set off with all his mounted men-at-arms, leaving the longbowmen behind. And they actually arrived too late to take part in the battle. On the game here, we've got some mounted archers ready, and we're going to randomise and see if we can bring them on just to try and balance the game up a little bit later on.
Okay, right. And what's the manufacturer behind the figures?
So nearly all the figures on here are Perry. The collection's been going a little while, so the older figures tend to be the metals, but I've also got the newer plastics, and the cavalry here are their new plastic mounted Agincourt knights.
Oh yeah. So you're still playing?
We're playing the game, we've just broken for lunch, but we're using Lion Rampant rules which seem to scale up quite nicely, which we've used before, and hopefully we'll get an outcome before 4 o'clock.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Simon, they've got a question. How do they get out of the jail?
I've got to,
So, we'll start with, what are we looking at? Fate of the Nation, so this is the Battlefront rules, yeah?
Yes, that's correct. So 1967, it's Jerusalem, Israelis taking over Jerusalem from the Jordanians.
Okay, right. So, they're new rules, aren't they? Or at least they've revamped them, haven't they? Or released
Yes,
them via
well,
Osprey.
we had the original
Oh, yeah.
version way back. Played that, and then they brought out the more expanded version with cards and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
More like Team Yankee.
Yeah.
So simpler, and also covers a wider range, but it's very much in the vein as Team Yankee rules. So playing both Team Yankee and this on occasion. So
And of course,
that's the fix.
the striking thing is the look of the table. I mean, it's fantastic terrain. The model of the city of Jerusalem. Who's behind the terrain?
I am.
Is it all your own work?
Primarily, we put on a game a couple of years back where we'd essentially got the base and the walls, but it was a lot simpler, so we've sort of embellished it as we've gone. The graveyard, that's James's work, I have to point that one out. But a lot of the buildings are either handmade or they are bought resin models, but the majority of it's handmade, and it's just a question of picking up things that are heading towards the bin and saying I can use that. So there's chocolate boxes, toothpaste tubes, you name it, I've pinched it.
And they're all Battlefront figures, aren't they? All
Oh, yeah, all the figures are Battlefront. Yeah,
official range. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think I've got any that aren't Battlefront. So yeah, I mean they make fantastic figures and fantastic vehicles.
Yeah.
They don't make quite such complex terrain.
Yeah. No, it is a fantastic looking table. It's really eye-catching. So, yeah, well done. Thanks for showing it. Cheers. Okay, so this game is Burrows and Badges. Osprey, isn't it? Burrows
It
and
is
Badges?
published through Osprey and Oathsworn Miniatures, publishing doing the figures for it.
Okay, marvellous. So what's your game all about? Nice little 4x4, isn't it?
It's the 3x3 table. It can be up to this particular scenario is up to 4 players. Basically, it's get hold of the cart. It's got a treasure chest on it. You want it. They've got it. Get it off them.
Oh, right, okay. Now the scenery or the buildings are really eye-catching. Where are they from?
These are all scratch-built buildings. The only commercially available piece of terrain is the circle in the middle, which is by Oathsworn from one of their previous Kickstarters.
Right.
Everything else is scratch-built from foam board, cereal box card, coffee stirrers, and lots of glue.
Oh, right, okay, real sort of Blue Peter kind of.
It is, yeah. The terrain boards themselves are basically stick-down floor tiles covered in mastic and sand pressed into it. So, yeah.
And are you doing it as a participation game?
It is a participation game today. I've played a couple of games this morning so far. The people that have been playing it have really enjoyed the game itself, which is a credit to Oathsworn. I play it with my daughter who's 8, and she absolutely loves it. So yeah, Oathsworn have done a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, it looks really good. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Right, hello, Nick Buxley. We're in front of the Gringo Forties game now, which is tell me a bit about it. It's a Tonkin Wars, yeah?
Yeah, it's the French in Indochina, specifically Vietnam. And the actual scenario is that the governor's daughter has been stolen from the governor's house, which is on the left-hand side of the board, down the bottom here, and being held in the Black Flag Fortress at the top there. So the Black Flags are a mixture of Chinese and Vietnamese insurgents.
Right, okay. What rules are you doing? Is it homegrown rules?
These are homegrown rules that have just been written for this specific game for this show by Paul Hills over there, who is running the game admirably.
Yeah, doing a great job. It really is an amazing looking table, isn't it? Does it play very well as a game?
It's playing very well so far. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it actually.
Is this, how many games have you had? Or just the one?
This is just the one really. It's
been going since the start.
It's been going. There's been a lot of toing and froing around the governor's mansion now. The French have actually done rather badly, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, some lucky throws from the Vietnamese. Yeah. Well, they lost all their command just now. An officer and two NCOs in one go because somebody threw 3 6s and killed them all.
So are the French doing the attacking?
The French are doing the attacking, the infantry, and the lovely thing about it is you can use French Marines, French Foreign Legion for the period, French Naval Landing Party, and we've even got Algerian Sipahis down here. But unfortunately, they have fell prey to event cards. So one of them got bitten by a snake, which halted the whole lot.
Yeah.
And the next one was a tiger that came out and had killed one of them outright.
Problems with the local wildlife then?
The local wildlife has been quite irritating to the Algerians. Yeah, they're not really used to the hot, sticky jungle. They're more happier in the desert.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Well, thanks for telling us about the game, Nick. We now need to go and speak to David, if I can grab him, and he'll tell us a bit about the terrain.
Okie dokie.
Cheers, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, David Marshall of TM Terrain.
Hello, Dan. All right.
Yes, good, thank you. So we spoke to Nick earlier about the game itself. Now we're going to have a bit of a look at the terrain, because you're the man behind it, aren't you?
Yes, I am, yeah.
So Jed from Gringo Forties commissioned you to make all this,
yeah.
hasn't he? So what have we got going on? A rather dramatic looking river down the middle that looks very nice and green.
Yes.
I went for green rather than blue.
Yes, I went for green. It starts blue, and then with washes and dry brushes and stuff, it goes green. But it's 10 by 6.
Yeah.
The river opening out to a coastal front with a sort of peasanty port mixed with French colonial mix, and then a small fort and more substantial fort, all scratch built.
Yeah.
And then a row of wood forests, which are all aquarium plants and cheap palm trees from China. Going up to a temple in the corner on a rocky outcrop.
Yeah.
Again, all scratch built. My first foray into 3D printing with the sheets of tiles on the roofs. So that's it's gone okay.
How about the boats? Did they
The boats are all Jeds. They're all available from Gringo 40. No, I'm not. I can't make boats.
Have you tried and failed?
No, actually, no. Good point. I've never tried,
Oh, well.
but I just feel I couldn't make the.
But
the
anyway,
finisher.
if you can
Anyway,
get
yeah.
them from Gringo 40,
Yeah.
why would you anyway? But no,
There's-
it's a really nice looking table, and we're going to feature it more in War Games Illustrated.
Oh, excellent.
We've
Good.
convinced you to give us some of the work in progress shots, haven't
Yes,
we?
yeah.
So,
I've got loads of those. So,
yeah, we'll follow
that'll
that.
be
We'll
fine.
speak to Jed as well. So yeah, this will be seen again in the page of War Games Illustrated.
Yeah, excellent. Good.
For now, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, Simon Miller, hello.
Hello.
Tell us a bit about this game. What's going on here on this big hill?
We've got the Battle of Manchester, 61 AD. Basically, it's Boudicca's last attempt to drive the Romans from Britain. And the Romans have got all the cards in this one. Well, literally, it's mind being a card-based game, but they're at the top of the hill. They've got the big shields. They're better troops. But the British seem to be doing really well. We've had 2 games. They won the first one. This one looks like it might be slightly up for the Romans, but it's amassed sort of waves of Britons assaulting up a hill.
You're keen on the hill, aren't you? We've seen you with the hill before. You're a big
Yes,
hill fan.
I must say, having loaded that hill in my car today, I'm curse the generals that deployed at the top of hills. It's very over heavy. You can see it's strongly made. The great thing about the hill is that it looks a lot more dramatic than a flat battlefield, but they're so heavy to move. The components for that have nearly done my back in yesterday.
Oh God!
But it's been a great game. It's a lovely day at Salute. Lots of seen lots of friends.
Yeah.
It's such an opportunity to meet up with all the wargaming people. You know, people I didn't even think are coming are here.
Oh, well, that's good. And we've got this map in front of the board as well, or the side of the board, which is you've played it as part of a campaign, haven't you?
Yes,
The whole
we did.
Boudicca Revolt.
A few years ago, we did a matrix-based campaign based on something that Mark Backhouse did originally, where we basically using matrix arguments to move the armies around on a map. A reproduction map of Roman Britain. We have smoke plumes for the towns that are burned, and there are counters for all the different units involved. We've got 3 maps. There's only one shown here, but essentially, there are the Roman players can see one map, the British players can see another map, and there's a 3rd map for umpires. We ran it as 2-3 years ago as a campaign day. It was really excellent. I need to run it again actually. It's a fun game, and there's a lot to be said. I mean, one of the nice things about doing a Roman versus British game is that everyone knows that the Romans were in Britain, and everyone knows about Boudicca, so people can quickly identify with it. It's got the chariots, it's got the lager with the lamenting women as their men. Well, I've just seen another unit of their menfolk killed while we've been talking. The brave Romans standing at the top of the hill, resolute in their formations, and the swarms of British hurtling up it.
Yeah,
what's not to like?
It's all very iconic, and it does look marvellous. So thanks for showing us.
Thank you. It's very nice chatting.
Cheers. What's going on here with this Little Bighorn game?
Right, the thing was, we wanted to, since I was a kid, I always wanted to play the Battle of Little Bighorn, and I kind of only ever saw people playing the Last Stand, Custer's Last Stand. So what we wanted to do was start off with Major Reno's advance up the valley, and Captain Benteen and Reno's defence of Weir Point and Reno's Hill, and then really war game Custer's Last Stand all at the same time, so that if one side could beat Reno, he could then move his troops up onto the Reno's Hill battle or send troops to help defeat Custer.
Oh, I see.
And so we wanted to do the whole battle, not just one individual part.
But almost like a mini campaign.
Yeah. And it's worked really well. We must have had about 60 people come through already.
Wow.
We won best participation game today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
So that was good.
Oh, congratulations.
And we've been giving away 3 sets of rules and briefings about the battle. And
so, who are you collectively?
We're Wargame Collection Calculator, and basically just a couple of gamers who a few years ago saw that people didn't know the value of their own collections. So what we decided to do was build a database where you could put your collection on, get it valued, but at the same time provide a list of soldiers you could pass to an insurance company to put on your household insurance. And people are, in this industry, people tend to be quite close. So we thought if we get out there and put on this type of thing, then we get our word out there. We get the word about you put insurance on a bike if you buy a bike. Why don't you put insurance on your collection, or at least make sure it's covered against loss or fire or damage or theft? So, so that's where we were. And I've been wargaming since I was about 14, South London Warlords, and then family came in. I had a family, and then just picked it up again, and we've really enjoyed putting this together.
Yeah, it does look. It looks interesting. It's one of those games that you immediately come over and think, "Oh, what's going on here? This looks good."
Yeah. And we've had plenty of people taking the rules. People have been asking to buy them. Yeah. It's a bit odd when you can't give it away. It's been really interesting. And winning the prize was just the icing on the cake. Yeah. So it's our first attempt at actually doing a participation game and demo. Yeah. It's been really good, at least seeing the kids come and enjoy it. Yeah. And they get a medal for taking part. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. No. Well done. It looks really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, okay, so the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare presents Good and Blunder, which is something we featured recently in the magazine. Tell us a bit about it, Fantasy Skirmish War Game.
Well, for many years, me and Charles have been pumping out a range of skirmish war games, all the way from the good old days in Her Majesty's name, up through the more recent books like Dice Show and Blood Eagle. But both of us have been playing D&D since the 70s. We're fantasy buffs at heart. And with each game, we have evolved the rules a little, tightened them up. Thousands of play testing coming in, outspacing from other players around the world, pointing out where we've written complete rubbish and where we've done very well. And so this game is the latest in the series. It's the biggest book we've ever done because we couldn't make it smaller. And we went over the paperback limits, and now it's a hardback. Yeah. So we have now produced what was the love of our life in many ways. It's different to many other fantasy skirmish games that are out at the moment in that it's not locked to a miniatures range, it's not set in a specific setting. This is completely open. The point system is open, there's a whole section there on how to create your own figures, your own warbands, your own weapons, your own spells, everything. What we give you is a full toolkit as well as a game. So for instance, we've got 19 warbands in there, fully detailed. Honestly, I've never played one of them. I always have variants on them because I'm a bit odd. But we're getting lots of people coming back now. It's been out 2 or 3 weeks. Lots of people coming back, and we're getting people saying, "Oh, we were playing with Skaven. Oh no, we're playing with Lizardmen. No, I've got Chaos Dwarves being worked out on it. Oh, I've done this Dark Templar list." Yeah, so they're creating their own stuff, which for a little two-man band like us is a fantastic thing.
Yeah,
we love that.
And the games look really good as well. The games you've got on here today. Is 2 different games being run, is there?
Well, the first one is the simple one on the mat with the houses. That's called The Witch's Cat. It's based on Nanny Ogg from Terry Pratchett's books. Has lost her cat Grebo, and the city guard have been sent to go and find it. A bunch of orcs and an ogre have turned up to try and kidnap it for ransom. As you can imagine, blood flows, etc. The guard is made of Captain Flack, Pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub, Cuthbert being the war dog. And the cat doesn't want to be moved from the market square because that's where the fish are. So it tries to attack anybody who comes up to it. And everybody knows about Grebo. That can end in tears. Yeah. The other game is hand-built by our friend Billy, who's run away when you came up with the microphone, is an escape from the dungeon game. A bunch of 4 ordinary adventurers, because we have a warband in the book called Adventurers, where you just basically take often your own ideas, your old D&D characters, use the book's rules and turn them into adventurers. So there's a 4-man party of adventurers, and they're trying to get out of the dungeon before the Dark Lord catches up with them. Unfortunately, he's thrown some undead in the way. Okay. And most of the way out is on very high and precarious walkways. Yeah, so if you fall down, it's off to your doom.
Yeah, it's a very striking looking table. Getting that nice height, that's always good to see. Yeah.
It's funny that we got it here 5 minutes too late for get the cars in. We had to carry this from the car park. Almost killed 2 people doing it.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But it is a fantastic board. It's well above my modelling skills.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you very much for telling us about it. Cheers.
You're welcome.
Right, hello.
Hello. Hi there.
So, yes, tell us a bit about this game we've got in front of us. This award-winning game, I
It
believe.
is, yes, indeed. Got best historical demonstration game.
Very good.
It's Napoleonic War, and it's 1807. Well, I certainly didn't know, and I don't think many people know that the Swedes were actually involved in the Napoleonic War.
No, not
So
very well known, is it?
they had some outposts in Pomerania on the Baltic coast of Germany, and the French by 1807 had beaten up most of Europe, so they were clearing up the little nations around, and they came up against the Swedes, drove them off out of the continent, and the Swedes retired to an island called Rügen, which was a fair distance away. Maybe when they get round there they can have a look at the map. They'll see what's going on there. But they left this small fort on a little island, and of course where it was positioned it was dominating the seaways. So the French decided they had to actually deal with it in the end.
Okay.
So they sent a landing force coming across in small boats to land and attack the Swedes and drive them out of the redoubt.
Okay.
I understand from Michael, who put the game together, that there are about 1,000 Swedes on the island. By the end of the fight, it was a very brief fight once the French had landed. There are about 850 Swedish prisoners, and only about 50 Swedes got off the island in the end. So it was quite an overwhelming victory for the French to take the redoubt.
Yeah, and it's a very nice looking game.
Mhm.
So you've been playing it as a Rebels and Patriots, haven't you?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Michael was involved with writing the rules, and it's a very good set. Although it's set as being for America.
Yeah.
Obviously any black powder game can be played. Hence, it's come across the Napoleonic era very nicely.
Yeah.
It's a very good, straightforward set of rules. And we play it in my club in Hitchin in Hertfordshire. We get to play probably once a month where somebody will be playing it. And we've had some very, very good games.
Good. And what about the figures? Where have they all come from?
You'd have to talk to the others. I think there's some Perrys, aren't there?
All the Swedes, more or less, are Perry miniatures from
Right.
the new Swedish range. And the French are mostly Vitrix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the boats? They're really nice. Are they scratch built by you or?
Scratch built some, and some are 3D prints.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So
Well, they look really nice. The whole game
Yep.
looks really nice. So well done, fellas.
Right,
Well done for
thank you
me.
very much.
Cheers. This video has been produced by WI Prime. WI Prime is Wargames Illustrated Magazine's online members club. As a WI Prime member, you get access to all Wargames Illustrated videos before anyone else. We'll keep you posted on what's new via the Primetime News Bulletin delivered to your inbox every Friday. If you're not a WI Prime member, you're missing out on loads of benefits, including access to the Wargames Illustrated Vault, freebies, discount vouchers, PDFs of the latest magazine, and more. Find out more about WI Prime by following the link.